Welcome to our first episode of Inside Rangers Football here in 2020. Certainly, it looks a lot different than it has in years past. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, joined via Zoom by Smithson Valley head coach Larry Hill. The Rangers finally got the season underway this past Friday with a win over Harker Heights 45-27. Coach, it's been quite a journey to get to this point. How did it feel to finally play football this past weekend?
Well, it felt great. You know, our players and coaches and fans were excited. Here we're opening the season on what would have been the fifth playing date if we'd started as originally scheduled. So it's been a long summer and a long preseason, but we were excited to get to launch it and, of course, to play at home and then to get a win against a quality team. Good night for Smithson Valley football.
Yeah, Harker Heights was a playoff team from a year ago, and again, you won it 45-27. Never trailed in the game either. A big storyline every season, of course, is who's your quarterback going to be on opening day? And, last year you had Luke Gombert. This year, new starting quarterback, Jalen Nutt, who played cornerback in the secondary to start his Smithson Valley career. How did it come to be that he became your starting quarterback at opening day?
Well, as you said, he's been a starter in our secondary over at cornerback for the last 2 years, but coming up through the ranks, seventh grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, he had been a quarterback. So it isn't like, we just plucked a kid out of nowhere and said, okay, here, come to quarterback. He had trained at quarterback in the off season and in the spring, and so we had to shake a little rust off, of course, because he hadn't done it in a game setting since his freshman year, but he's a fine leader, a tremendous kid, has a respect of his teammates, has got, a unique set of skills that has allowed us, we've altered our offense to cater to that a little bit. And he's like the rest of our team. He didn't play flawless last Friday night, but he did some things very, very well and enough things well for us to win the game.
Yeah, it helped spearhead an offense that, again, put up 45 points, nearly 400 yards of offense. Of course, though, you had a lot of success running the football as well against Harker Heights. Gabe Hoskins, in particular, was kind of your bell cow running back. Carried the ball 17 times, 7 yards shy of 103 rushing touchdowns for Gabe. Given the workload that he had, how do you feel as if he fared?
We went into the game feeling like we needed to establish the run. We feel like it's a strength of ours for one. We also knew their offense was extremely explosive, which they proved to be. So trying to keep their offense off the field and wear them down a little bit. We've got a little size in our offensive line. So, running the ball was something we hoped to be able to establish, and we did. Gabe ran well, took care of the ball, made some tough runs and then showed some speed on the edges and complemented our quarterback running game and our passing game well. And then Justin Avery and Travis McCracken came in there and they took some little bit of load off of Gabe, and they carried the ball and showed that they could do it as well. So we're a work in progress in our running game, but we're pleased with game one results.
Now, the defense did give up a few explosive plays as well to Harker Heights, but for the most part, outside of those, I thought the defense played extremely well. You look at the big plays they made themselves, forcing 4 turnovers, a couple of fumble recoveries, a couple of interceptions. Given the week 1 test they had against, as you called them a quality opponent in Harker Heights, how do you feel as if the defense played?
I thought overall real well. I think you hit the nail on the head. We played really good defense, particularly run defense in the early going, and kind of made them one-dimensional to where they had to throw the ball. Now, we gave up a couple of 3 long throws, throw and catches, and, obviously we've got to start preventing those explosive one-play, big chunk touchdowns, because those are tough to overcome. But all in all, we were real pleased, again, against a team that had multiple playmakers. And, I thought we got after their passer pretty good, and we stopped their run, as I mentioned. But the big thing, you hit on it, is turnovers. We didn't turn the ball over, and we got 4 takeaways. If you're +4 in the turnover department, you're probably going to win, and we did.
As I mentioned at the beginning, certainly this is a bizarre set of circumstances that nobody could have predicted this time 6-7 months ago, yet here we are. On the original schedule, you were supposed to open up against San Antonio Warren. That game got canceled. Harker Heights was not initially on your schedule in 2020. How did the game come to be?
Well, they had a similar situation. The team that they were scheduled to open with was also delayed a week, and their first game's not till this coming week, just like Warren, our original opponent's game's not till this week. So there were a bunch of us looking around for a game, and gosh, they needed one, we needed one, and we just kind of signed up to be each other's dance partner sometime in June or July, whenever it was, and they were a solid test, with the kind of playmakers they have. But we might as well get used to playing those, because last time I looked in 27 6A, there's a few playmakers standing around. So it was a good test for us.
Well, Coach, again, 45 points the win and a 45-27 victory over Harker Heights certainly made your share of plays. So as we've done in years past, let's start off this year's edition of Inside Rangers Football with a look at the plays of the week.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
Our first big play is a special teams play. Harker Heights had managed to score to make the game close, and they put their kickoff unit out there, and you're going to look at our kickoff return team as they look down the field. The ball's being kicked to us, and we're going to focus here on our return. It's going to be a return to the left side as we look at it on the screen here. And as the ball is kicked, you can see our guys moving that way. There it is at its high point. This is Kyler Clark, one of our sophomore really fine players, returner here. He's moving over, camping out underneath it. As he gets there, he's going to pick up some key blocks. Darlington Frash there on the left. In the middle there, Will Ford. Ty Dubose, another senior here on the right. If you trace their blocks, you can see they get blocks right there. And we pick up another block or two, and then Kyler's able just to shoot. Got some guys on the ground. He's able to shoot the gap in between them and use his speed to run away and get it all the way down inside the 30 on the far end right there for great field position, and it sets up our offense, and they're able to go in and score. So that's a big play. Next big play is defense. We're going to focus on two defensive ends, senior Trey Moore, number 99, down here at the bottom of the screen, and sophomore Gavin Woods, 24 at the top. As the play unfolds, it's a pass play. You can see they speed rush the tackles and get around the edge. They've already kind of got their foot in the door, so to speak. They get great pressure on the quarterback. We get a little pressure there from Kel Williams, another sophomore, flushing him, forcing him backwards, and Trey hits him and the ball comes loose. There's a scramble for it. 3 or 4 of us have a shot at it. Gavin Woods finally ends up getting on it, and you can see that it causes a turnover, gives our offense a short field. If we look at it from the rear, you get a better shot. There's our two ends, Gavin Woods on the left, Trey's on the right, as we said earlier. As the play unfolds, you can watch them attacking up the field. And we get some pressure from Kel Williams and number 22, Malachi Lane, a junior linebacker, forcing him to step up. There's really nowhere for him to go now. Now Gavin makes him turn away. That's Gavin on the left. As he turns away, Trey hits him, and then the ball pops out. And there's a scramble for it, as I said, and I believe Gavin got on it there at the very end. So another big play, set up our offense with great field position, and it sets up our last play. This is our last touchdown. We're going to focus on Zach McDonald, one of our junior wide receivers. He's at the top of the screen, got a circle around him. He's got one-on-one coverage, has run some short routes in front of the cornerback all night, and he fakes that again. He's going to run down to where you see the line kind of square off and chop his feet as though he's going to make a short route cut. Chop, chop. The cornerback commits forward on that move, and when he does, Zach blows right past him. You can see he's got 3 or 4 yards. Clear shot to the end zone. Well thrown ball by Jalen Nutt, our quarterback, and we get it into the end zone. From the back, you see how it's possible. Look at our blocks there. It's Nathan Muchigamba, James Etheridge, Britt Stoley on the left. On the right is Colton Thompson and Braden Dornberg. And our fullback, Ty DeBose, giving great pocket presence to Jalen. You can see he's got plenty of time, a little pump fake right there. And then the ball goes upfield. You can see Zach's got a step. Ball's up high, well over the defensive back. Thrown into the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. Another big play for the Rangers as we pull away and go on to win our season opener against Harker Heights.
So again, Coach, it's the very first game of the season. You kind of wonder if there's going to be any rust for your football team. You have new players playing varsity football, but judging by some of the big plays you had last week, as we just saw, not a lot of rust shown by your football team. An impressive way to start the season.
Well, we were far from perfect, but I would imagine most coaches would say that after game one. But we did enough things right. You you got to win the war. And to win wars, you got to win a bunch of little individual battles along the way. And you can't win them all, but you got to win more than you lose so that the result in the end comes out right. And we did do that. Turnovers, explosive plays, some key kicking game elements that we shined in. And so enough to win, and we're 1-0. That's as good as you can do after 1 week, and on we go to Madison.
That's right. The next battle for the Rangers comes against the Mavericks in Smithson Valley's final non-district game of the season. We'll take a look at that game along with Rangers trivia coming up after this on Inside Rangers Football. We're back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Donna. I'm so excited to welcome Dermatology San Antonio to Smithson Valley.
I think we made a great decision.
You have a beautiful office, but I brought a few things that I think you're really going to like.
Donna?
Principal Wall, are you here to welcome Dermatology San Antonio to Smithson Valley as well?
No, I'm here for my 3 o'clock Diamond Glow facial.
Principal Wall.
This week in Rangers trivia, the 45 points in last week's win were the second most ever in program history in a season opener. What is a team record for points scored to kick off a season? Is the answer A, 49, B, 56, or C, 60? The answer is C, 60 points. Smithson Valley opened the 2016 season with a 60-20 rout of Austin Anderson. The game wasn't supposed to be the Rangers season opener, but Smithson Valley's Week 1 game against Pflugerville-Hendrickson was canceled due to lightning, making the game against the Trojans the official first game of 2016. And yes, back here in the Inside Rangers football studios from Rangers Trivia, and Coach, that record-setting night for you came 4 years ago. Again, it was not a game that was supposed to be your season opener, as you had a game against Hendrickson canceled mid-game in the middle of the first quarter because of lightning. But 60 points that night against the Trojans. What do you recall about that game?
Well, we had some boys make some plays for us. That old quarterback we had, I think, just saved UTSA's neck the other day. Josh Atkins made some big throws, and if I remember right, Trayvon Merrick might have had a play or two on defense and on offense and ran a punt back for a touchdown. He's still doing all that up at TCU. So that was an explosive night. I remember they started off hot and scored, and then we just really caught on fire, and particularly a surge in the second quarter where we just kept scoring and turning it over and scoring, and they turned it over and we'd score. And so a good win, and it was a fun night up there in Austin.
You had, again, a very talented Rangers team that year. You mentioned it, Atkins, the Division I quarterback, and is starting right now for UTSA, or is the backup to Frank Harris, could be starting this week. And, of course, Trayvon Merrick Woodard doing great things at TCU. But now on to the game you have coming up this week against Madison for the Mavericks. This is their season opener, so there's no tape to look back at from a week ago outside of the scrimmages the Mavericks have had. Right. They've had two. As opposed to playing a Week 0 game. So you look at Madison. It is a team that won 9 games a year ago, unbeaten in district, second round of the playoffs. The Mavericks have been one of the top programs in San Antonio over the past 15, 20 years or so. We don't know a ton about this year's team, obviously, but going into this opener, what do you know against this year's Madison football team?
Well, they look a lot like the Madison teams we've played through the years. They're talented. They have well thought out systems offensively and defensively. They're well coached. Their kids play hard, and they're very athletic. And so looks, unfortunately, like the teams we've been playing for a lot of years around here. And their district opted for their teams to play 2 scrimmages. And, we played 1 scrimmage and then had a game last week. So they've competed the same 2 weeks we have. They just did it both in scrimmage formats. But, they're wearing bogus numbers or no numbers at all, so we really don't know names and faces and that kind of thing, other than guessing that a couple of those kids look like returners from a year ago. But it doesn't take much tape to be watched to see it's the same old Madison. They'll be plenty good, always have been.
Well, there are some new faces, certainly, as is the nature with high school football. Michael Garza, the quarterback you saw a year ago, was a senior. He's gone. Darian Gill, a 1,000-yard rusher, a running back from a year ago. He's not back either. He was a senior in 2019. Offensively, there are new parts, especially at the skill positions. But Madison's offense over the years has been pretty explosive with really good play at quarterback. What looks are you expected to see from Madison's offense this Friday?
I think they'll be pretty balanced between the run and the pass. They're like most people that want to establish the run. They have what appears to be several good backs on tape that run the ball well, and they use the quarterback in the run game with the power read and the zone read game. Got talent out at wide receiver. If you stack the box, they'll flip it out there on short screens and run tags, RPOs, like a lot of people do, and have shown the ability to throw it up the field deep too. Scrimmages, tapes are hard to evaluate. You've got different groups rolling in and out all night. So, which kids are going to be in there, that's hard to know. But it's a well thought out plan, and we'll have our hands full defensively.
So this is the third straight year you will have faced the Mavericks in non-district play. Of course, for a number of years, the two of you were in the same district out of the greater San Antonio area. Looking at the scheduling of this game, unlike Harker Heights, this one was on your initial schedule. Why is it that you decided to schedule Madison in non-district play over the past several years?
Well, stupidity, really, on the head coach's part. We wouldn't mind having some games where we could roll a little easier, but they needed a game, we needed a game. We both had difficulty finding a game for this week. The series does have a lot of history, as you said. There have been some memorable matchups, both in the regular season and deep into the playoffs in the fourth round a number of times. So there's a history there, but we probably could schedule a little better, maybe feel a little better about ourselves after the game, but unfortunately it won't be like that. We'll find out some things about us. We may find out some things we don't like, but we'll be a better ball club after the game, no matter the result, because we'll have to play at a high level to have a chance to compete.
Again, I mentioned Madison won 9 games a year ago, only suffered 2 losses in the regular season. One of those losses, though, was to you. It was a 44-0 win for your football team over the Mavericks a year ago. I know all the characters, or a good number of them, are different this year, so last year's game doesn't really matter a whole lot as it pertains to this Friday, but what do you recall about the win last year over the Mavericks?
Well, they started a little slow last year. Clemens had beaten them a week or two before our game, and I remember our game being a Thursday night up at Heroes, and we just got hot. Sometimes you get on a roll, and sometimes the other team gets on a roll, and you got to fight through that. But we got a few opportunistic field position chances for our offense created by our defense and special teams. They turned the ball over a little bit. We got a couple long, explosive throws that made for some short drives. And, we talked about it on the bus ride home. We could line up and play that game again. It wouldn't come out like that. We were tickled that it came out that way then. But Madison rolled on, as you said, got better, won the district and undefeated. Second year in a row, they won the league without a loss, so they haven't lost a district game since 2017. So we know what we're up against last year, or the year before when they beat us in a close game here. I'm not sure either of those games matter for this year, but we know we'll have our hands full Friday night.
What do you see being the biggest keys to the game on Friday, Coach?
Well, we're going to need to try to replicate those takeaways, the turnover margin that we got last week. We had 4 turnovers, didn't turn it over any. That sure made for nice field position for our offense. And, we created some big kick returns and some kicking plays that also created favorable field position for our offense, or in the other, to flip that over, our kickoff and punt teams, pinning them deep and making their offense to have long fields. So I think those factors will be big again, and we've got to clean up some things in the pass defense game, and we can't give up the 60, 70 yard. We got to make them drive the ball, and I think that's every week, but it'll be real big this week.
Well, Coach, best of luck against the Mavericks on Friday.
Okay, thank you, Brant.
Again, Smithson Valley taking on Madison in the Rangers' second and final non-district game of the season. Kickoff is at 7:30 this Friday from Comalander Stadium in San Antonio, and we'll have live coverage of the game available on the Rangers Network. Go online to rangersnetwork.com for more information. For head coach Larry Hill, I'm Brant Freeman. Thanks as always for tuning in. This has been Inside Rangers Football in 2020.